about a bad word. No, I'm not talking about any bad words that might get me censored here on YouTube. I'm talking about the bad word that we call manipulation. Now, all of us avoid manipulation at all costs. We want to avoid being manipulated, and we want to avoid manipulating others. And we all think that we are above manipulation, and we have a heightened sense of superiority when we avoid any time someone or something tries to manipulate us. For example, sometimes I'll get a message on my phone that says, "Stop, we have blocked your account. Click on this link immediately and make sure that you give us your address, your phone number, your credit card number, your social security number, your blood type, and your worst fear, and do it right now or your account will be blocked forever." And I think to myself, nah, I'm too smart for this one. Delete. And sometimes I'll check my Instagram messages and I'll see a request. And I'll open it up and it'll say, "Hey, we love your profile." No, they didn't. They've never looked at it. "We think you'd be a great ambassador for our brand." A brand that doesn't exist. "Click here and you will get 10 million followers," aka robots, "and have access to our billion-dollar company." Not a real company. And I think to myself, no, thank you. I'm not going to be manipulated today. But then I'll be scrolling through Facebook like I was about 5 years ago when I was making the transition from nonprofit and educational work into being a professional and corporate speaker and trainer. And as I'm flipping through Facebook, I see a targeted ad. I actually see many targeted ads, but I scroll right on past many of them, feeling superior for my brilliant intelligence that would get me to avoid any sort of manipulation. And I see an advertisement that says, "Are you an aspiring speaker? Did you know that there are millions, no, billions of event planners just dying and desperate to get you as a speaker on their stage of thousands and thousands?" And as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, why, yes. Yes, I am. The ad continues. "Do you want to get booked and paid to speak? Do you want access to all of the industry secrets that will make you the greatest professional speaker of all time?" To which again I said, why, yes. Yes, I do. I clicked on the link, I filled in my application, and then I get a phone call the very next day. And the person at the end of the call was so excited because I qualified for their elite training program. I always knew I was elite, so I gave myself a pat on the back for that one. And within this program, they will give me access to all of their content. They will create a speaker reel, and they're going to give me the first 50 qualified leads for me to get booked and paid to speak. And I thought, jackpot, this is what I am missing. And then they offered me their program for, we're just going to say, not a small amount of money. Now, this small amount of money, in my mind, was a worthy investment because while I knew how to give a presentation, I didn't quite know the ins and outs of the speaking industry. To make a long story short, the 50 qualified leads that they gave me, let's just say that they were less than qualified and these events didn't pay their speakers. The demo reel, the speaker reel that they promised, I don't know if you've ever had the misfortune of digging through my files and finding our first speaker reel. I don't think you'll be able to find it anymore, but let's just say that it was, for lack of better words, weird. That's all I can say. It was weird. It felt awkward to watch. It didn't quite match my personality or my brand, and to be totally honest with you, I've actually seen better video editing from my 9-year-old doing stop animation on Lego. And then these industry secrets, turns out that these secrets were incredibly outdated and amazingly ineffective. And so I felt manipulated. I felt conned. I felt deceived. I felt ripped off. But here's the thing. I wasn't. They actually did deliver on everything that they promised. They did give me 50 leads. They did give me a speaker reel. And they did give me access to their information. The disappointment, the gap in information, the way and the reason why I felt manipulated is because they felt short of my own expectations of what I wanted to be true. And that is where we are most open to manipulation. The things that we want to be true are where we have the biggest gaps, the biggest weaknesses in being manipulated. When it comes to persuasion, it is absolutely critical that we understand that because we want to be manipulated in the right way. Did he just say what I think he said? Because we want to be manipulated in the right way. That's right, we are not immune to being manipulated, and we absolutely want to be manipulated in the right way. Manipulation is like breathing. We cannot help but manipulate, persuade, use rhetoric, both verbal and nonverbal, to convince ourselves and to convince others in what we most ultimately want and desire. This shirt is a form of manipulation. I put this shirt on specifically because it was wild, it was pink, it has dinosaurs on it. I'm gonna put dinosaurs in the background here just to add to the dinosaur flair. And the reason why I chose this shirt is because I wanted to manipulate you. I wanted to capture your attention so you would think, hey, what's this crazy pink shirt dinosaur freak gonna talk about today? Again, it's not a bad thing. We are always looking for ways to improve our life, and we are always desiring certain elements. The key, however, is first being aware of where we are most susceptible to being manipulated. For me, 5 or 6 years ago, it was that I had a gap in the speaking industry knowledge. And here I had someone promising me the greatest, most accessible, most effective way to fill that gap. So naturally, I would pay any amount of money to make sure that my needs are met. And here's a secondary aspect, is that we are all manipulators, not just susceptible to being manipulated. We are all manipulators, not just susceptible to being manipulated. This right here is one of my favorite books of all time. It's called Thank You for Arguing, and it's about persuasion, rhetoric, and manipulation. And he says it this way: to see just how pervasive argument is, I recently attempted a whole day without persuasion, free of advertising, politics, family squabbles, or any psychological manipulation whatsoever. No one would persuade me, and I would avoid persuading them. Heck, I wouldn't even let myself persuade myself. Nobody, not even I, would tell me what to do. Then he goes on in his experiment throughout his whole day without being persuaded or persuading others. My wristwatch alarm goes off at 6. I normally use it to coax myself out of bed, but now I ignore it. I stare up at the ceiling where the smoke detector blinks reassuringly. If the smoke alarm detected smoke, it would alarm, rousing the heaviest sleeper. The philosopher Aristotle would approve of the smoke detector's rhetoric. He understood the power of emotion as a motivator. For the time being, the detector had nothing to say. But my cat does. He continues his experiment and recognizes that no matter what he does or doesn't do, he is persuading or manipulating others. Now, here's what I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the people who are intentionally working to deceive you. I'm not talking about con artists, people who commit fraud, people who embezzle money, or even abusers, people who abuse others mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and they manipulate and shape other person's reality so that they can get the benefit. I'm not talking about those. And unfortunately, all of us, every single person watching this video, including myself, have been manipulated in a deceptive manner. And to that, I really feel a lot of empathy for you and for me. Because what we believed to be true, the trust that we had either in a system, a program, or a person, turned out to be only for their benefit and at the detriment of our own benefit. And that's the main differentiator in manipulation, is intention. If your intention is for your best, or for the people that you interact with, that you lead with, for their best, then it's not manipulation in the way that makes it a bad word. It's simply guiding them to their best. Once you understand that intention is the driving force for manipulation and rhetoric and persuasion, something that is absolutely inevitable, once you recognize that, then you are better able to shift your communication and your way of being to persuade others, especially yourself, to their highest, most optimal state. As always, make sure that you hit subscribe and ring that bell for all content related to confidence, communication, and storytelling. And until next time, make sure that you come off of mute and speak up your story. See you soon.